Apr-02, chapter 3. Did I say I was going to speak on a particular verse? 3 point. 1 second. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ayur Harati Vai Pungsam Udyam Astam Tasyarte Yakshano Nitta Uttama Shloka Vartaya Ayuharati Vai Pungsam Udayan Astam Cha Yan Asao Tasyarte Yakshano Nitta Uttama Shloka Vartaya. Both by rising and setting the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead, purport by Srila Prabhupada. This verse indirectly confirms the great importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide, wait for no man. So, the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, Jiva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. Especially the human being is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity, but he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. The Lord is the complete spirit whole, and his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes into contact with any of the above-mentioned energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately opened. In Bhagavad Gita 2:40, the Lord has explained such contact in the following words, quote, endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor is there failure. A slight beginning of such activities is sufficient even to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears, unquote. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topic of the Lord injected through the ear of the pure devotee of the Lord can act very efficiently. Oral realization of the transcendental messages implies total realization, just as fructification of one part of a tree implies fructification of all other parts. This realization, for a moment, in the association of pure devotees like Shukadeva Goswami, prepares one's complete life for eternity. and thus the Son fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of the material infect, the eternal living being, semicolon, only due to material infection is the eternal living entity subjected to the law of birth, death, old age, and disease, paragraph. The materialistic way of pious activities like charity is recommended in the Smriti Shastras as quoted by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given to a Brahmana. If the money is given in charity to a non-Brahmana, or without Brahminical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. If it is given in charity to a half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If the money is given in charity to a learned and fully qualified Brahmana, the money is returned 100 and 1,000 times. And if the money is Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of the Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. The ultimate end of Vedic knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaisya Sarvayar Ahameva Vedya. There is a guarantee of monies being returned if given in charity, regardless of the proportion. Similarly, a moment passed in the association of a pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning home back to Godhead. Madhama gatva punarjanma na vidyate. In other words, a devotee of the Lord is guaranteed eternal life. Age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. It's not the way that we normally think of disease. Impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. Now the emphasis is utilization of time properly, and there's the two extremes, utilizing it in service to Krishna, utilizing it otherwise. Utilizing it otherwise means through passage of time, one is simply getting closer to death, and the karmic implications of whatever one did while utilizing time in materialistic or in forgetfulness of Krishna in materialistic life. And so time, the effect of time is it robs the living entity of their real life or their eternal life. And then conversely, it's when Prabhupada would say things like this to reporters or people that weren't familiar, they would have a pause, because how is it that you can say that you won't die or you won't get old? I said, see, you're old. You've gotten old. So how does it save one from those miseries? And the understanding is the effect of time. When the effect of time is used in Krishna service, it enables one. It's not a perfection, isn't a shoe-in, but it enables one to go down the path towards that perfection. And he would boldly, he wouldn't flinch when people would, it didn't often make those, but, there are circumstances where they would disagree with, they were uncomfortable with the statement that this is this and that's that, and how can you be so cut and dry? The principle is the principle of Krishna consciousness, and everything is dependent upon the consciousness behind how we utilize our time, because time is going to utilize us, or we're going to utilize time. I like the way that Prabhupada has done this, speaking about charity, because charity is something that people value. So he's gone through this, doesn't give the scriptural pramana, but charity this way, charity that way, charity that way, charity that way. And the topmost is unlimited return. What's the unlimited? The unlimited is the spiritual destination. That's unlimited. And then he crosses over, similarly, a moment passed in the association of a pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning home back to Godhead. He doesn't flinch. Meaning, the potency is there, and whether one will experience or realize that potency or not is another thing. But the potency is there. So if one wants eternal life, as one gives in charity in different ways, one should utilize time appropriately. And so it's not an exaggeration. That's my main point. It's not an exaggeration that, as with a moment's association with a pure devotee, perfection can come. Similarly, in principle, utilization of time, according to the verse, discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. He makes the point, you've heard it before, as one part of a tree may fructify, it indicates the other parts of the tree are also fructifying or soon will fructify. So, similarly, the experience of elevated consciousness that comes from hearing and chanting the topics of the all-good personality of Godhead, just that oral reception has the same effect as full realization. It's not different. It's the maturing stage. So when we're hearing. As we're hearing, hear it with attention from the right source. And I want just one other thing. The language that Prabhupada uses in his Bhaktivedanta purports is so sublime. He takes the writings of our acharyas, like here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, speaking about charity or writing about charity. There's materialistic charity and there's spiritual charity, so he's going through. But the language is relevant. Like, a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body. It's true. So that's contemporary. And he's comparing the process of hearing from the right source as being like that. It acts at once. It acts at once. Now, different bodies or different persons are going to respond to that sound vibration in a different way. That's not deniable. but the effect is also not deniable. Great fortune. So the overall emphasis is utilize time hearing. For some persons, just like all of this, some persons it may seem oversimplistic. Like, what's the cure? This age of Kali is dark. People are disturbed, misguided, troubled, etc., etc., etc. What to do? Srimad Bhagavatam. It's oversimplistic. Doesn't mean we don't do other things, but that the foundation must be there. And when the foundation is there, it gives spiritual strength and spiritual potency to recovery from the toxicity of material existence in different ways, according to the modes of nature and so forth. But the foundation is there by proper hearing. Just one last thing. You probably know some people that are going through a tough time. I know some people that are going through a tough time. And those that are going through a tough time that have affinity for hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, they have a strength and resiliency that is not there for those that don't have that same affinity and affection for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. There's strength and clarity of purpose, even when, the circumstance is horrific. They can pass through the circumstance and not be shaken. From that very simple, the same as this verse is saying. Now, it doesn't mean back home, back to Godhead in a jiffy, but it means that the path of going in that direction is wide open, and it enables one to pass through the perils of this age of Kali purposefully. Bhagavatam is for that purpose. Encouraging people to read Srimad Bhagavatam, engaging with others in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it has that purpose. That's very important. The earlier verses, just quickly summarizing, utilizing the senses, the eyes, the legs, the ears, the tongue, not for this purpose. It's like the tongue of a frog, or it's like a bellows of a blacksmith, or do blacksmiths also bellows, not breathe? What's the special thing about doing something that's on the material plane? So each of the senses are to be utilized in devotional service, and the foremost of the senses is ear and hearing, and it acts. And that's our process. In a very elegant and elaborate manner, the verses are there, and Prabhupada's purports similarly elaborate and very elegant. Tireless, bringing the message of the Bhagavatam to the world. Any discussion? It's on. No? There's some people remote or something? Mhm.
Prabhupada is telling us just like when we give charity to brahmanas, you have certain levels, outcomes. Is that similar? Is my understanding accurate when we think that the purity with which we reach out to Krishna, depending on that, you will reach to him at different levels?
The principle is in reverse. One is the receiver, the one is the giver, the subject and object. So emphasis is on the object of the gift. And your emphasis is on the subject and the quality of their gift. They're both significant. But even, let's say, someone's consciousness is they're out to lunch, or some drunk person would give Prabhupada passing by on the Bowery something, and that act of the gift to the right person, his consciousness is not so elevated, but
Yes.
the gift is there. So it's two things, and both are important. One doesn't necessarily infer the other.
Thank you very much.
Spiritual charity more important than material charity?
Why? Well, I don't understand your question. Because why?
Just a question, because in spiritual charity, you're actually giving spiritual knowledge. And so that hopefully helps elevates a person's consciousness more than just material charity, which is just consumed temporarily and then it goes away.
Well, then comes definition of what's material clarity. What is material clarity? What do you mean by that? Prabhupada when people would ask him questions, he would ask them for definitions of what to you, what does material clarity mean? It's so right now it's mostly clear sky, but a little hazy. So it's not completely clear sky. So is that what you mean by clarity? It's the understanding. Supposing somebody knows how to do that which requires highly elevated material intelligence to do something or other. Whatever that something or other is, through technology or whatever it is. And they know how to do that. And the average fellow doesn't know how to do that. So you can call that material clarity, but that's not what real clarity is.
Maharaj, material charity.
Material.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm giving an example. I'll give an example. Yesterday I had a computer problem. It wouldn't let me open PowerPoints. Every time I tried to open an Excel or something would come on the screen and say you can't open it. And I tried X, Y, Z, and so somebody got somebody on the phone that had material clarity and knew what to do took me through the steps, and here's what to do. And so that's an example of material clarity. Now, that's utilized in Krishna service, it makes a big difference. Now, for his occupation, he doesn't need in this occupation to do for Krishna service, except he's carrying Krishna consciousness. And this particular person, I know, in his workplace, he influences people spiritually, but, carefully, because he doesn't want to be perceived as an indoctrinating member of our team. So, material clarity has got me puzzled because I don't know exactly what it is. It's fair to partly cloudy, or very cloudy, and then it changes. Generally speaking, the understanding of something from science, wait a while, and then the picture changes, and wait a while, the picture changes.
So we can say at different times, material charity is important, and then spiritual charity at different times.
Well, I don't know why why are you pursuing this question? Because what's material clarity anyways? I'm pointing, it's not clear anyways.
So by material, I mean, some people give money. That's what I'm just trying to say. Or some people, so which is a better route?
Oh, you know which is a better route.
Yes, okay.
So, the principle of charity is good.
Okay.
And both his point, the consciousness behind the charity giving and the receiver of the charity are both important. And it could be the outcome differs from the receiver. So that's that's the point that's being made in this particular purport.
Okay.
I don't get the material clarity part though. Let's go on to something else because it's not registering on my
Thank you.
radar screen.
You answered my question. Thank you.
Krishna Maharaj, we have a question from online. From Padma Manjari Mataji.
Speak slowly.
From Padma Manjari Mataji. Guru Maharaj, that strength to fully surrender, does it come from reading and Mahamantra only? Or do one have to give up all traces of material attachments in order to fully surrender?
What do you think? I'm asking her. How can you give up in order to fully surrender? Let's say it differently. There's a fundamental consciousness of the soul. That fundamental consciousness of the soul is covered. So there's two things that are needed. Remove the covering and awakening the dormant consciousness. And you can't fully surrender without the process of cleansing and awakening. So stay with the process, and gradually, with faith, gradually the cleansing and the awakening will happen. So it's a gradual process of following sadhana bhakti so that the spontaneous stage of bhakti can be ushered in. So my answer to her question is, it's not that you have to fully give up everything before you can be fully surrendered. It's a gradual process of application of purification.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you. At the very beginning of your journey in Krishna consciousness, when you got introduced to Srimad Bhagavatam, what was that about Srimad Bhagavatam that hooked you on to it and your love for it grew so much?
It wasn't like a flash of light came on and I said, aha. It's same. It's a gradual process. And that gradual process brings one to the place where, same as her question, the material shelters are diminishing and the spiritual shelters are increasing. And it's very sweet. Message of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's gradual awakening, restoring of good health. So something that restores good health, it's good medicine. Let me take it. That's my answer.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
So initially, there would have been many terms that you didn't understand, right? Did you have like a specific regimen, like, oh, okay, I'm reading this, although I don't understand it completely, I'm still going to follow that, if you wish to share, Maharaj?
You're asking what's my process of learning. That's what you're asking. I think I'm like anybody else. The process of learning is a gradual process. And some things are more clear, some things are less clear. But with faith in the source, the Bhagavatam, and the pure devotees, then some things are more clear, some things are less clear. You be patiently go on, and things that are less clear can become more clear. Just with faith, proceed with faith and experience.
We have another question from online, Maharaj. Because we are reading Prabhupada's Bhagavatam and his Bhaktivedanta purports, does that constitute devotional service?
Of course.
Or can we make progress just by chanting and reading Bhagavatam alone without other service?
Sure. But we don't do that. We're social beings and we want other things. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Okay. So you are saying like, no, so based on, charity, based on the person who is receiving, we will be receiving, so we'll be receiving like 10 times or 100 times or 1,000-fold, so on. So is it like, if we give charity to a very qualified Brahmana or something?
Speak slowly. If we do what?
If we give the charity to like proper Brahmana or somebody, so is it like we receive the devotional service or material benefit? So what is that?
It depends on your consciousness, doesn't it?
Okay. So the next.
If my consciousness is material, I get material.
Okay. Okay. So the next question is, so let's say that like the material consciousness or spiritual consciousness, because it will be the mixed mindset with which we give. So the receiving will be on like in the material level where like to receive it again we have to come into this material world again and again, or like is the spiritual devotion service with which
It's
we
not
can.
mechanical. It's gradual devotional. So supposing, like that example, Prabhupada's walking along the Bowery Street and a Bowery bum reaches out and handles him a bottle of wine. It doesn't mean now he's going back to Godhead. There's eternal benefit. Because that's something dear to him, and he's giving something dear to him to somebody who, for some reason, he feels some affinity for. So, what the outcome is.
So if it is a devotee, mostly like now our gradual devotion keeps on piling up.
Gradual devotion does.
Our devotion, towards Krishna's association, it keeps on increasing.
Keeps on increasing.
Yeah, I give that charity to a devotee. then so there will be some part of devotion that will be.
Of course, we're mixed.
So Maharaj.
And so the result is not yet Shuddha, it's mixed. But it's a step in the right direction. What can we do where we are? So we go from where we are. But then there's the aspiring for the process that brings purification. You have something more.
Not from online Maharaj. I have a question if the time permits.
No.
It's related to yesterday's lecture on Lord Rama about Maryada Purushottam. As I was contemplating about the meaning, I understand that he doesn't cross the dharma and he strictly follows. And as I'm meditating on some of the pastimes, especially with Wali and other situations where Lord Rama applied the dharma very perfectly. Dharma is it is pretty vast, and also the life is very complicated. Sometimes it is very tricky that we might, at least for me, I might be thinking that I'm doing it right, but it might be I'm not be following dharma in those tricky or complicated situations. But in general, as the life gets complicated, how can we follow dharma perfectly, Maharaj? Because I feel
We can follow perfectly if you're a perfect person. If you're not a perfect person, you're going to follow imperfectly. Your question is how to follow perfectly. And the answer is we can't. We're going to make mistakes because we're prone to make mistakes. We're less than perfect. Now what to do? Throw in the towel. Just, that's it. I can't go further. We make our best effort following the perfected souls. We make our best effort. We become familiar with the teachings. What does following look like? What are the elements and principles of following? And we make our best effort, depending upon Krishna. And knowing that it's less than perfect, we acknowledge that before Krishna. I'm less than perfect, to say the least. But this is what I have, so please accept. What do you think?
Yeah, makes sense, Maharaj.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.